Welcome once again to Behind the Screen Season 9. This is episode 3 of Trinity Continuum Adventure Rise of the Iron Tyrant. Standard disclaimer, of course, I do not speak for Onyx Path, nor is this project official material. All views and opinions expressed are my own, and this material will be available to buy on the StoryPath Nexus eventually. I am merely a grateful fan with a platform. Please be aware I am disabled. I do experience muscle spasms and twitches, which can worsen my natural stammer or lead to slurring of speech. I will try to keep I'll try to monitor the issue and catch myself where needed to slow down to lessen the stutter. Although I do just have a stutter anyway, occasionally. I do also struggle with multiple trains of thought, so please, if you do raise a question in chat, and please feel free to interact via the chat. I'm monitoring it at all times. I am a mod, so please behave. I will try to acknowledge what you have said, and then finish my train of thought, and then loop back around to yours. Before we get started, additional disclaimer, I am currently coming down with a cold, I think. So I'm pretty sure it's cold because my partner's got a cold and she knows it's not COVID because the person she caught it off was tested. Also, it's had like a 2-day incubation period. So I may have to pause, like mute the microphone to cough. I've got a drink to help with my throat, but if my throat starts getting too painful to talk, I will obviously have to wrap up the episode early. Less than ideal, I know, but I have to look after myself before providing this content. So, best place, as usual, to go for anything concerning Onyx Path and updates, the Monday meeting notes, the link of which is on screen now. Apologies, YouTube, I keep meaning to put these links in the video descriptions and keep forgetting. We'll see if I remember today. Well, whenever I upload this video, who knows? Unsurprisingly, as the Curseborn Kickstarter wrapped up recently, or back-a-kit campaign, Curseborn crowdfunding campaign wrapped up recently. That's, a big part of the Monday meeting notes, but suffice to say, it went really well. If you're into personal anecdotes and reactions to such things, there are quotes from the kind of the main Onyx Path staff embedded within the Monday meeting notes. Also some sweet art. As you know, it is no longer Halloween. It is no longer October. Curseborn's over. Halloween's over for another year. R.I.P. Halloween. The Save Against Fear convention run by the Bodana Group will be happening from Thursday and over the weekend. Something like that, if I'm passing the Monday meeting notes correctly. And that is a charitable convention. And there will be a raffle for people who late pledge branch riders. I have lost the ability to speak, apparently. This is going to be such a good stream. I can tell. But the raffle prize is a sweet book-themed dice tower. If you are thinking of purchasing a print-on-demand rulebook from DriveThruRPG this for a Christmas present, this is the last week that you will be wanting to order those for guaranteed delivery by Christmas. Speaking of DriveThruRPG, Teach Your Kids to Game Week sale. The Teach Your Kids to Game Week sale is now on DriveThruRPG and DriveThru And the next Kickstarter, starting either the 12th or the 14th of this month, no firm date yet, will be the Exalted Alchemicals Kickstarter. If you are a fan of Exalted 3rd Edition and have been wanting some Alchemicals content for your games in creation. The media section, of course, is just a whole bunch of Curseborn content, so I'm going to be doing a much abbreviated coverage of that this time around. But the schedule is as follows. Me, right now, congratulations. All these times are in Eastern, as usual. Tuesday at 8 p.m, Scion God, The Beginner's Guide with Awkward GM. Wednesday at 6 a.m, Curseborn In Between Places. Friday, noon, They Came From the Cyclops' Cave Warriors of Legend. Saturday, 2 p.m, Meet Your Makers. That's Phil Keeling's interview show with Danielle Lawson. I think that's how you pronounce Danielle's surname. Sunday, 5 p.m, Trinity Continuum Aeon Asia. And Monday, 9 p.m, Scion The Tower. Obviously, if you want a recap of the schedule, please do stick around for the post-roll at the end of the stream, or just go to the Monday meeting notes. As I mentioned, there is a whole host of Curseborn content in the media section, so I'm going to skip over that. The on sale this week section, there we go. Exalted 3rd edition Sidereals, if you want to add to your Exalted 3rd edition collection before Alchemicals hits Kickstarter, you can get Sidereals from Wednesday. That is both PDF and print on demand. And again, if you want it before Christmas, order it soon. Development status. Nothing mentioned in the development status from Eddie. Art direction from Mike Chaney, however. Exalted 3rd edition Alchemicals and Sound Titans Rising are in art direction. In layout, the Trinity Continuum community content guide, obviously particularly of interest to this show, and it's literally wands of loyal followers. Sour and Tasty Bit combo, Exalted Essence Pillars of Creation, Exalted Essence Deeds Yet Undone Dirt Cheap, Sour and God Story Guide Screen, Trinity Continuum with Great Power, Mage 20, Victorian Bizarre Tales and Unusual Characters, and the They Came From RPG Anthology. In proofing, we have They Came From Classified Jumpstart and The Wood Below. In indexing, we have Realms of Pugmire. And at press, Origin and Core listed as still should be arriving at Studio 2. Exalted 3rd Edition Exigence Book and Screen, Trinity Continuum Ether, Anima Terror Surge Screen, and Players, the Trinity Continuum Players Guide. Exalted 3rd Edition Sidereals, the Exalted Essence Jumpstart, Realms of Pugmire, Sidereals Novella, Scion God. They Came From Cyclops' Cave Book and Screen, They Came From Classified Book and Screen, and Exalted 3rd Edition Sidereals, as I mentioned, on sale, PDF and POD, on Wednesday. Just going to hydrate. I can feel my throat getting all scratchy. So that's the Monday meeting notes. I'm aware that today, the date of recording, 5th of November, is a big day in the States. So obviously, if you are just using me as background noise to vibe, to tune out the potentially calamitous and fateful decisions being made today, I completely understand. I am happy to spend whatever time with you that I can. So, recap. This season of the show is all about Trinity Continuum. Oh, I'm just going to turn the cursor off again because it bothers me when I can see a cursor, and I assume the same applies. I can always turn it on if needs be. Particularly because it picks up the cursor just in Microsoft Word windows, no matter which Microsoft Word window it is, even if it's not an active window. So this season of the show is all about Trinity Continuum Adventure. That's the best I can do with my throat the way it is. A supplement for the Trinity Continuum game line that is set kind of in the 1930s of the Trinity Continuum universe, which is roughly the same as ours, but with a couple of tweaks, and deals heavily with pulp and adventure, and the main theme is hope. Sorry, deals. The genre it's evoking is pulp adventure, hence the exclamation mark at the end of adventure. And its main theme is hope, and the triumph of light over evil, over dark, and the rise of good to defeat evil, etc., etc., etc. So what that means is it is a StoryPath system. StoryPath is Onyx Path Publishing's in-house system. It is not StoryPath Ultra, which you may have heard about, as it came out way before Ultra was, I assume, even conceived. So it is a D10 pool-based system where you roll a number of d10 equal to your skill plus your attribute ratings, and 8, 9, or a 10 is a success. It's a very reductive overview, of course. And the number of successes you get buy off the difficulty of whatever you're trying to do, and if you can buy off the difficulty, congratulations, you have succeeded at the action. If you have leftover successes, you can do several things with them, but the usual thing is to buy off complications. And complications are things that cannot take away from the success of the action, but they can introduce a narrative consequence or mechanical consequence. So the classic one I use a lot on stream, because I think I read it in one of the rule books. You're trying to climb a wall, difficulty 2, but there's broken glass at the top with a level 1 complication. Try not to use StoryPath Ultra terminology here. And if you get 2 successes, congratulations, you climb over the wall, but you might cut yourself on the glass. If you get 3 successes, you can buy off both the difficulty and the complication, get over the wall scot-free, or you could choose to use that additional success over the difficulty to do something else and still cut your hands on the glass as you get over the wall. Very reductive overview of the StoryPath system, but it should suffice for our purposes. Okay, so far, with regards specifically to Rise of the Iron Tyrant, I've discussed how you can go about planning and outlining a piece of work, whether community content or just writing out a homebrew adventure, and that's what you can see on screen right now. I forgot to zoom in, I apologize. I started with elevator pitch being just a sentence to sell people on the product or players on the adventure, then a slightly elaborated, a slightly longer explanation of what it is. You should try to keep it to less than a paragraph, like 3 or 4 sentences, just in terms of hello, Solid 10 D&D, welcome into the channel. Where was I? I got new viewer hype. Yes, keeping an explanation to 3 or 4 sentences allows you to A, still have a good idea of the core of the product, and B, it allows you to evaluate, even at this stage of the product, whether you're going to have, adventure, or I'm going to say product because this is mostly aimed at community content, but it does also apply to adventures and things as well, that you're just doing it for your home games. Or business plans, I guess, actually thinking about it. Yes, keeping it short, being able to do it in 3 to 4 sentences allows you to have the core of the fleshed out idea. So the elevator pitch is like the seed. The explanation is the... You know what, let's use a tortured metaphor. The elevator pitch is the bit of gravel that the oyster swallows. The explanation is the pearl that forms around it. It enhances what is there. It does not add to it. It simply enhances it. If you are finding that you are doing, I don't know, like 2 paragraphs or more for an explanation, obviously depending on the purpose of what you're writing, that might be fine. But there's a point at which it is too much for anything. Obviously, historically on this show, and just historically for me, my community content kind of comes out, I think, between 20 to 30 pages with art and layout elements added. And that's fine for a paragraph. If you're doing more, you might need more. If you are doing it as an anthology of adventures, you might have a paragraph per adventure. Totally fine. But the explanation that you land upon will help you to manage product scope creep. Or just scope creep. Let's just say scope creep. That's easier. Then, of course, I say then, of course, as if everyone has watched the videos on YouTube. This might be your first time here, in which case, welcome. Then I explained, one way you can go around planning an outline of an adventure. In a specific instance, that's what I'm working with, so that's the example I'll be using. I have set myself the goal of 3 scenes of 1,500 words each, plus some appendix material, because I like that writing challenge, and also, as I've mentioned a couple of times already in the previous 2 episodes, if you want to get into freelance writing and you're considering using community content as a way to do it, which is, I'm pretty sure, how I got into it. Obviously, if someone at Onyx Path wants to confirm or deny, that's totally fine, but you can leave me in suspense. Knowing how to write to a limit, to a word count, is incredibly useful, and knowing how much information that you and your writing style can get into that word count is also very useful. Particularly when it comes to community content, if you're fitting it in around other work, you need something that you can write sustainably, and that ideally you enjoy writing. Because if you don't enjoy writing it, your interest in the project will wane and it will stop. Work on it will stop. So I discussed the 3 scenes and started just with a simple paragraph, 2-3 sentences, explaining each scene for myself more than anything. But it also means that when I go to actually write the adventure, I have an easy thing I can copy paste, probably edit lightly, into the adventure itself as a scene overview, so that the person running the adventure knows at any point what the point and what the outcome of the scene is. Everything I do is constantly changing as I get better, as I what's the wonderfully pretentious phrase, as I hone my craft. And some of the stuff that I'm talking about, like with the intro to the scene, is things I've noticed in other books, and just, hi Zach, how you doing? It's so nice to have an idea of the point of the scene and how it ends, so that if the players do go, what was that phrase I coined? Gloriously off-piste. Roughly kind of an outcome they could crash land into, let's say, or crash into. Obviously, I'm not saying that you should railroad, and I had a whole episode about GM tips that included railroading just before this season started. Check that out, youtube.com/@ComradeBubbles. I think there's a behind the screen specials playlist now, if I recall correctly what I named it. I think it's one of the later ones in there, was about the railroading. Honestly, how many episodes are we in? Too many. At 87 episodes, I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly where things fell in the recording order. I know it was one of the later things I did before I started this season of the show. And then last stream, I did a breakdown of each of the scenes and an overview for my purposes of what I plan to include in the scene. Obviously, you can lift it as written for your own content. Sorry, 1 second. I'm going to keep an eye on that. My throat's already getting pretty scratchy, so as I said, I will run the episode for as long as I can, but if I need to stop the stream to look after my throat, I absolutely will. What was I saying? Yes, so I took the approach to writing a plan that I discussed in the first episode of the series and applied it to each individual scene, with breakdowns and things that could come up in the scene. As well as word count assignations. Again, this is more just a good practice thing to get used to writing to a word count. You don't have to get this granular. I certainly do not usually get this granular. sorry, when I am writing community content or my own, original RPG content. However, for the purposes of this season and how to plan things, I thought that it might be of some benefit to someone out there in the world, and hopefully it is, because it's not taking more effort to do it this way for me, but it's definitely I guess the easiest way to say is like I feel less experienced. Well, I am less experienced at writing this way because I don't typically plan. I like to write organically and pick up threads as they arise. But the series was conceived as a way of helping people to write content, community content particularly, and how to do all of the things that the GMing advice sections in rulebooks don't tell you, because they're mostly concerned with how to run the game. This is all of the other stuff around that. And truthfully, I could probably do an entire episode on just general GM tips around making things. Which I might throw onto the ideas pile, which I will at some point set fire to, because who has time to make good on their ideas? Regardless, that's where we're at. I have planned an adventure. I have divided each scene into its key components with an idea of what each component kind of sort of looks like and how that could play at the table. In terms of it, like the purpose of the scene. Again, I've spoken many times now about such things, but everything should have a purpose. Random encounter tables are fantastic. They may not be for me, but that does not mean they are not a useful tool. And even if you are one of those people who just rolls up loads of random encounters, it's always better if they factor into the adventure somehow, if they build the story, foreshadowing, or provide information on side stuff. I'm not saying everything... I'm not saying you can't have things unrelated to the story occasionally, and obviously it depends on the kind of game you're playing. But for me, everything is in service of the narrative being told, whether that is directly related, side stuff, or building on the understanding of the lore behind what's happening. Obviously, if you're watching this live on Twitch or VOD on YouTube, feel free to challenge me. I'm not an expert. I have experience, but not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. Feel free to challenge me in the chat room on Twitch or in the comment section on YouTube. I might reply, I might not. I might just get offended. Who knows? I certainly don't. Regardless, it is time to start writing this adventure. So, I need to copy this. I need to put that somewhere I can see it, and then immediately minimize it because I can't see chat with it open. Oh god, I need I'm at the point in my career, air quotes career, where I need a third monitor, and then I need to. Oh no. That's oh, there it is. Ta-da! I fixed it. So we are here. I'm not going to include the title in the word count. and each section's going to have an overview. So if I can cheese it like this, to be fair. Overview, do that. So it's all counted as one word for word count purposes. But it's a reminder of where the overview section starts. PCs must infiltrate a Swara and a blimp, discover Nazi agents, and take the intelligence they are carrying. The second iteration of robotic T-Rex designs. At the climax of the scene, something goes wrong with the blimp, and it crashes. That's the overview of the scene. This doesn't need to be italicized anymore because of it having the overview tag. I'm currently debating whether or not to include to stream my, not editing, but kind of my layout process for this. I have done a how-to layout in Microsoft Word video. I haven't checked the numbers on that. I can only assume it did some. And I do primarily work in Affinity Publisher now. So if there is enough interest, I could stream my layout of this in Affinity Publisher instead of just going on to the next season of the show. Once this is finished, which won't be for a while, let's be honest, these seasons take a while to do because I only write on stream. Okay, so where is the project outline? There it is. So my project outline states that this entire scene is a complex action. Oh, I need to zoom in and zoom out. Is a complex action, each milestone giving one clue towards the agent's identity. Success should have some reward in the final scene. However, that's not how I spell Swari. The overview I gave doesn't really make sense with that, and I'm pretty sure I can write about a complex action within the hunt section of the scene with the 650 words. So, off to work, have a great stream. Well, thank you for swinging by, Zach. Have a as tolerable, as good a day at work as possible. And again, thank you for swinging by. I appreciate the support, and I'm sure Onyx Path Publishing do as well. And obviously the word count that I assigned in my overview doesn't account for the high-level information. So those words will have to come from elsewhere in the chapter, from elsewhere in the scene. But that's just how it goes sometimes, and it crashes. Let's do heading 2, and heading 2. So, overview section. Is there anything else that needs to be noted in the overview? This is primarily an intrigue scene, so we are going to be discussing the social intrigue rules. So let us reference those. This scene is primarily an intrigue scene, and then brackets, Trinity Continuum, cool, bracket, pages 85. Oh god, please just give me an end dash. I just need an end dash. Thank you. Dang it. Page 85 to 90. This is something I picked up. I did this in Begin Again, my Game Jam entry, which was primarily more aimed at introducing people to the game. But every adventure could be someone's first adventure. So if I can just provide page numbers to be helpful to someone, I mean, yes, it cuts into the word count slightly, but it's really not a bother. Just pointing the GM, pointing the story guide in the right direction. This is a party, as it's a party populated by the idle rich. The atmosphere of the scene is sorry. Let's just say +1, why not? Atmosphere of the scene is +1. What this means is that any social attitudes, if it's positive value, it is increased by 1. If it is a negative value, it is decreased by 1. So if you don't like someone, you like them even less. No, wait, never mind. Yes, that is correct. Oh no. Ignore me. You like them slightly more. As I was saying it didn't sound right in my head. Unless a player can make a compelling argument as to why one of their characters' contacts would be on board, this results in all attitudes being +1. So this means that pretty much everyone treats the characters as friendly acquaintances because it's just that kind of really positive, upbeat atmosphere. Attitude itself grants enhancement to social roles. So this functionally means that every social role the characters make will gain a +1. It will gain a +1 enhancement to the role. Which, is what it is. I put this up here because it will apply for the soiree and maybe the hunt as well. And then, obviously, it will probably not count for the crash because the players will not be doing intriguey things. So we've got a rules reference pointing the story guide in the right direction to explain what the rest of the paragraph means. That is fine. We're 100 words down, so the crash, we only have 100 words to deal with. Let us have a special rule here. Espionage. The hidden Nazi spy may become aware of the characters as they investigate. We represent this all actions have a level 1 complication that, if not fought off, reduces the momentum pool by 1. If this if the pool is if the pool ever empties, the spy brings them down, ending the current action and skipping to the crash. Page XX. So just a countdown mechanic. If you caught my They Came From Classified game at Onyx Path Virtual Con this year, you will have noticed a similar mechanic. There was a self-destruct sequence happening there, and if the momentum pool ever hit 0, the self-destruct activated, and the underwater base blew up. There was no explicit way for the story guide to trigger that, because I felt that wasn't in keeping with the game at the time. So that was entirely reliant on the player characters spending their momentum and triggering the self-destruct themselves, giving them that decision every roll of do we improve our chances now, but in the long run worsen the situation for ourselves. This time around, however, there's just a minor complication that does increase the odds ever so slightly, but that is also kind of accounted for by every social role having a one enhancement added to it. Now, I believe that one of the things you can do with successes is spend them on momentum. I'm double checking because that is in some books, but not in all books. Where is it? I am just trying to scan through this. Otherwise, I'll add that into the, the adventure. And then I have to occasionally hover back over the chat box to see if anything has been mentioned in chat, because for the benefit of I could just put it in front of put it on my other monitor, and then I can see what I'm doing. Okay, it does not look like it's included in the core rulebook. It's in... Nope, it's not there. Okay. I'm just double checking in a couple of other places in the rulebook. Unfortunately, when it comes to writing content and adventures specifically, you kind of do need to go through the material, make sure that you're not reinventing the wheel. Yep. I can't see it in this book, so I'm just going to add it to the adventure, and if it's there, if it's already in the book, it's already in the book, who cares? Players may use leftover successes to add momentum to the pool and up to 1 leftover success. Add 1 momentum to the pool. Any roll. There we go. Giving the players some control over the momentum pool itself. So momentum, for those who may not know, momentum is a mechanic that it's a kind of a largely nebulous floating resource that any player can use, that you can spend to, you know what, rather than doing it from memory, I could just read the rulebook. Where is it? Momentum can activate skill tricks, add dice equal to momentum spent to a dice pool, or enable additional attempts at complex actions. It's a shared resource, so you do need everyone's buy-in to use it. And obviously, if you are tying it to a countdown mechanic, having some way of getting it back reliably is good. Ordinarily, you gain momentum if you fail a roll. It's a consolation for for not doing well. So having this also in some StoryPath lines, you can just spend leftover successes as momentum to add to the momentum pool. So this means, functionally speaking, as long as your player has, as long as the characters are rolling, rewind, restart the sentence. Functionally speaking, the players can add momentum to the pool with every roll. This is just a way of getting, from a design standpoint, this is a way of getting players interacting with the momentum pool, with dice stunts, with thinking about what they can do with leftover successes if they want to do anything with leftover successes, and just encouraging that aspect of engagement with the game rather than the more, I guess, traditional, I've rolled my dice, that's they've landed where they have, I've done the thing I wanted to do, let's move on. I personally think the momentum mechanic and the stunt mechanic, because you can spend leftover successes to impose a complication on someone acting against you, create an enhancement for an ally attempting kind of the next thing that an ally does gains that enhancement, or to defend yourself or something else. Other three kind of main stunts, which is just what the game terms things you can use leftover successes on. And they're kind of easy to forget about, so having another option that reminds you, that is easy to remember, and in this instance quite important to the countdown for the countdown purposes, it hopefully will allow the players to remember more easily the fact that you can spend leftover successes on things if you want to. You never have to, of course. You can just buy off the difficulty, buy off the complication, and be done with it. Particularly if there's nothing immediately, important to be getting along with outside of the successes that you've rolled. But it's just one of those things where, because this might be someone's first time playing the system, or they may not be as system aware, I suppose, as me as the writer, and I'm not pretending to be a master of the system by any stretch of the imagination. There's always things that even experienced GMs will forget about games, or story guides if you prefer, about the games they are running. But by having it as an optional rule, it kind of should trigger that, hey, this is an actual thing I can do anyway, and then have people dive through the rulebook trying to find out where the basic stunts are, outside of the combat stunts. What a digression that was. But that's kind of where I'm coming from a design perspective. The point of this is to encourage people to engage with the stunt system in the game. Up to 1 leftover success was a bit vague. That's, in fact, once per scene, a player may spend 1 leftover success from any roll to add 1 momentum to the pool. This limits the amount of momentum that ends up in the pool. The momentum pool does have a maximum, it does cap out, but this means that once per scene, you're guaranteed 1 extra momentum to the pool. And then obviously any momentum gained from failing rolls is also thrown into the pool, and so it's not an excessive amount of momentum being thrown around, but it's still, still engaging with that rule. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to add to the overarching everything in this section applies to this scene. In the first 2 sections of this scene, a level 1 complication, blah 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 blah. I've got 8 words. Oh, I do apologise. I have 8 words left before I hit 200 in this scene. Do I want anything else? The easiest way to handle it is I'm just going to take 100 words from the first 2 sections, so they're down to 550 words each, plus 200 for the intro and 200 for the crash section. Just trying to think if there's anything else I can add. PCs must... well, this actually should be the characters, just for consistency. The characters must infiltrate a soiree on a blimp, discover a Nazi agent, and take the intelligence they are carrying. The second iteration of Blueprints 4. The second iteration of Robotic T-Rex Designs. This is a Latin name. I'm going to italicize it. At the climax of the scene, something goes wrong with the blimp, and it crashes. This scene is primarily an intrigue scene. As it's a party populated by the idle rich, the atmosphere of the scene is +1. Unless a player can make a compelling argument as to why one of their character's contacts would be on board, this results in all SGC. I'm going to type this out. Story guide characters. And results in all of the story guide characters having an attitude of +1. There we are. Espionage. The Nazi spy may become aware of the characters as they investigate. To represent this, all actions in the first 2 sections of this scene have a level 1 complication that, if not bought off, reduces the momentum pool by 1. If the pool ever empties, the spy brings the blimp down, ending the current action and skipping to the crash. Once per scene, a player may spend 1 leftover success from any roll to add 1 momentum to the pool. There we go. A nice 200-word overview. Now, because it's important to keep track of things like that, I'm now going to go to my outline document and add in the 200-word overview. And as I say, this means that I have to get 200 words from elsewhere, and I'm simply going to take the soiree and the hunt down to 550 words each. I'm going to save so that I don't have to figure out what I've done again. And then we go straight into the soiree. So this will have an introduction explaining, the final product will have an introduction explaining the conventions I've used within it. So like if it's italicized text, read it aloud. And like it's always skill plus attribute for dice rolls. Providing I know for Concision, this wants me to do results in all the story guide characters having an attitude of +1, and I probably will edit it down to all the story guide characters having an attitude of +1. But right now, I don't have the time or inclination to figure out where I can put an extra word into the overview section to make it clearer. So I'm leaving it as is. This is, as ever, first draft material, subject to change. In fact, it will change. It's italicized text. It's always skill plus attribute. That I've provided page numbers where relevant. All of that stuff will be in the introduction. So, soiree. Italicized text. The airfield is an island of concrete and steel amid the sweltering jungle. In the middle of the sweltering jungle. The discarded Nazi uniform in your hands is still damp with sweat. I'm trying to provide some read aloud text that gives the characters a reason to go into the soiree. It's still damp with sweat, and the figure you glimpsed on your approach is silhouetted by the bright floodlights of the blimp on the landing strip. Whatever is happening on the blimp. No. You can hear the sounds of a party in mid-swing. Mid-swing? Underway. Carrying on the heavy. You can hear the sounds of a party underway, carrying on the heavy air. Let's go with... And a small automobile pulls a carriage of trunks towards the blimps. Cargo hold. Whatever is happening. It's happening on that blimp. So read aloud text you should always try to keep short. There's some advice I read, something like keep it about 30 seconds long, about like 3 to 6 sentences at most, because people will just check out after a certain point. And certainly I can attest to this fact, both as a GM and a player, that there is a limit to not necessarily how much I will pay attention, but how much information I'll be able to retain from the from the scene setting. The airfield, so I don't have a timer, but I'm just going to see how long it feels like when I'm talking. The airfield is an island of concrete. Okay. I was supposed to say steel. The airfield is an island of concrete and steel in the middle of the sweltering jungle. The discarded Nazi uniform in your hands is still damp with sweat, and the figure you glimpsed on your approach is silhouetted by the bright floodlights of the blimp on the landing strip. You can hear the sounds of a party underway carrying on the heavy air, and a small automobile pulls a carriage of trunks towards the blimp's cargo hold. Whatever is happening, it's happening on that blimp. Okay, that feels too long to me. So, how can we edit that down? One, that should be cases. Silhouetted by the bright floodlights of the blimp, where a raucous party is underway. On the landing strip. The airfield is an island of concrete and steel in the middle of the sweltering jungle. The discarded Nazi uniform in your hands is still damp with sweat, and the figure you glimpsed on your approach is silhouetted by the bright floodlights of the blimp, where a raucous party is underway on the landing strip. We don't need on the landing strip. Like, there's a blimp, clearly it is somewhere nearby. Silhouetted by the bright floodlights of the blimp, where a raucous party is underway, a small automobile pulls a carriage of cases towards the blimp's cargo hold. Whatever is happening, it's happening on that airship. Just use airship just to avoid repetition. Let's see, open cargo hold. Silhouetted by the bright floodlights of the gangway. Of the blimp's gangway. Let's not say gangway or gangplank. Say passenger ramp. Just to cut down on technical terminology, etc. So this, what does this tell us? This tells us that the airfield is in the middle of a jungle. That there is a Nazi, getting on board a blimp, where a party is underway. And it gives us 2 points of ingress. We have a passenger ramp and we have the open cargo hold. Also, there is the cases to consider, and the players could investigate those. So, as a read aloud text, it's quite short. It gives the pertinent information, and it doesn't tell the players what to do. Which is always something to be wary of. Not just in read aloud text, but in general as a GM. The temptation to dictate how your players, how the characters react and feel and what they do is quite strong, particularly when you're trying to, you have this cool scene in your head and you're trying to evoke a specific emotion and draw on certain aspects of their backstory. But if it requires them to behave in a certain way and you take that directorial control to say you do this, you feel that, while fine, you've obviously then taken some of the control away from the player. So it's just something to be aware of. It's not something inherently bad. It's just one of those things where it's okay to do it in small doses for the best effect. The most obvious use case being like in dreams, where you can't control how you feel, but you can control how you interpret things. So you can phrase it as like you experience a frisson of fear, and then it's up to I just like the word frisson. Then it's up to the player to determine how they react and interpret that frisson of fear. Do they get physical? Is it a dread? Is it like their heart starts pounding in their chest from adrenaline? Is it just a sense of unease? That kind of thing is what I'm reaching for, and hopefully explaining clearly. I don't know. I just talk and hope that something lands. Regardless, we've got some read aloud text. Again, not everyone likes read aloud text, but I'm assuming that if you're buying an adventure, there's some expectation around having read aloud text, and if you are buying this adventure to get to learn how to play the game, or how to run the game if you're an inexperienced story guide, it, as with random encounter tables, is a useful tool to have. I touched on read aloud text and random encounter tables in one of my recent specials, so please do check those out if you're interested in my thoughts and or some thoughts on them. Again, it's youtube.com/@ComradeBubbles if you're watching this live on Twitch or as VOD on Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube, congratulations, you found the right channel. Just find the playlists tab and go crazy. So, the characters have a choice of several ways into the blimp. They can pose as partygoers, sneak in via the cargo hold. Sorry, they can pose as staff. We add guarded passenger ramp. That means that there are guards they can interact with. Established guards. Guards are established in the scene that they can interact with. You can pose a staff, sneak in via the cargo hold, or attempt to pass themselves off as partygoers. So, let's say attempting to bluff their way in as either staff or partygoers involves making it past the guards on the at the base of the ramp. They don't ask for invites, but do check for any sources of naked flames. But if they're not asking for invites, why do they have to pose as... Oh, the guards are under orders. To keep the... Oh, what's the phrase? There is a phrase, it's like quality of guests. Even better. The guards won't allow anyone on board who doesn't appear to belong to the idle rich crowd partying the night away. Posing as staff requires a successful difficulty 2. I need that skill list. Where's the character sheet? There it is. Aha. Probably larceny or command. Command or larceny plus manipulation or composure roll. With a level 2 complication, and if not, StoryPath sees one of the guards escort them to the staff changing area. So no, they can't go anywhere until they actually fulfill the role they claim they are there to fulfill. Posing as partygoers. This, by the way, does stack with the one for the espionage scene rule. Posing as partygoers requires a difficulty 3 command. You know, it's the same roll. It's just the same roll. Except difficulty 3 instead of 2. It's slightly harder to pose as partygoers. But there's no complication. Oh, there will be. With a 1 complication that, if not brought off, alerts the guards at the party. To the character's presence. This, I'll have something later on down the line as a, if the guards are alerted to the character's presence, X happens. If the characters investigate the cases, first they find enough clothing to reduce the difficulty by 1. Well, to reduce the difficulty to 2, let's say. Technically, you know, it's saying the same thing a different way, but it's just easier to understand. If it's reducing the difficulty to 2 rather than reducing the difficulty by 1. Reduces the difficulty to 2 and removes the complication. Because they are dressed to fit in, rather than, you know, hey, we lost our clothes. Please let us into this party. Save the work. Right. So that's 2 of the approaches. The third approach, sneak in via the cargo hole. Sneaking in via the cargo hold. Let's have this as it doesn't require a roll at all. Sneaking in via the cargo hold is easily done as the sounds of the party mask any noises the characters may make. So if they get turned away from the guards because they failed the roll, they can just go straight in via the cargo hold. That's any noises the characters may make, but sorry. Unless the characters investigate the cases here and use the fine clothes within as costumes, or as disguises, sorry. Any SGCs they meet will assume they are staff. Let's say we'll assume they are poorly attired staff. And their attitude with the +1 atmosphere included positive 0. So they don't get the enhancement on the roll because they're clearly ill-suited for what they're attempting to do. Like, you can get in for free, sure, but there are consequences to that. Okay, where do we go from here? Let's keep me on the time and kind of trying to judge how my throat's feeling. I'd like to get halfway through this scene by the end of the. My goal is to get halfway through the word count. So to the end of this soiree section. I've got about 36 words left. Once inside the blimp, there are 3 main areas for the characters to explore. The ballroom, the staff quarters, and the engine room. And let's just say the engineering section. The ballroom is the setting of the next section of this scene. The hunt, and any characters entering it should move straight to that section. The staff quarters includes a kitchen, a network of passageways throughout the blimp, including ones that give access to the private cabins above the ballroom. And use parentheses. There's no reason I can't. It's my own community content, and it looks better right now in first draft. Network capacity throughout the blimp, including ones that give access to the private and otherwise unreachable cabins above the ballroom. And a small changing/shower area. The engineering section includes engine room, wheelhouse, I guess cockpit, bridge. It's a bridge. That's what I was called. Well, engine room, bridge. Includes the engine room, bridge, and it's not a balloon chat. What is it? What's the technical term for the inflatable bit of a blimp? I mean, I know that it is technically a balloon, but... Oh, also I need to replace all instances of the word blimp with Zeppelin, because Zeppelin is what it would be. What is it called? What is it called? Because the individual fuel cells are gas bags. I know that much. I just don't know what the structure which they are in is called. Hmm. Let's just say the gas bags for now. Accessing this area requires the characters to be dressed as staff, or to succeed at a difficulty 3 command plus manipulation roll every time they want to. This roll is made every time the characters want to access the staff area. Hang on, let's start this at difficulty 2. And the difficulty increases by 1 each time after the first. Each additional time after the first. There we go. Just trying to think things through. I think it works, right? Accessing this area requires the character to be dressed as staff or to succeed at difficulty 2, commit the command or manipulation roll. I guess technically characters who know anything about technology would have an advantage here. So we'll go with command or technology plus manipulation roll. You know, to kind of prove that you know what you're doing. I want to add something. Why would there be a reason to be in the engineering section? Well, I guess the hunt would include why you'd be in the engineering section. That's technology. Guards positioned throughout the Zeppelin, as well as staff working the event. Don't hesitate to corral characters they perceive to be partygoers back to the ballroom after they have outstayed their welcome in technically off-limits areas. If this occurs, remove 1 momentum from the pool each time. Just as like they're raising suspicion by being outside of the party where they're supposed to be, you know? Kind of just raise the tension, raise the stakes. Just for the fun of it, I might try to put an additional scene rule into every scene and in the introduction have a like, hey, make sure your players are aware of the different rules affecting each scene. But we'll see about that. However, that was 752 words. I'll take it. That will go down in editing anyway. So I don't mind too much that I'm slightly over. I will probably be slightly over at some point. However, every time can be simplified to whenever the characters want to access the staff area. And I can get rid of the additional there for each time after the first. Or you know what? Even better. I can just do the same thing up here, make the same change. And then it's 750, which is the exact word assignation that I was working towards. So there we go. Today I have recapped the stream, the season so far, and discussed why you could consider adding custom rules to each scene, or adding custom rules to your content. Again, from a design point of view, this is to encourage people to interact with the stunt system of the game, as well as just to have a countdown mechanic baked into the adventure, or to the scene, I should say. Kind of touched on ways to offset ways to balance, let's say, any rules that you are adding to the game. So in this instance, making it slightly easier for the players to gain enhancement, which means that they're more likely to get the additional success they need to add momentum to the pool. And then started writing about how the characters can make it into the soiree. I'm just going to do a find and replace blimp with Zeppelin. I have to spell the word Zeppelin. Replace all. Hell yeah. And that's where we're at. So, as is my want, if this is your first time here, but you are already a fan of Onyx Path Publishing, or you're not and you're interested in Onyx Path Publishing, they do a weekly update about where the company's at on Mondays. The Monday meeting notes, I always share the link, and a very rushed overview of such is most of it covers Curseborn, which was their latest Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign. I think it was on Kickstarter, but I could be wrong about that. It's been my brain is mush. As well as the personal reactions to the success of the Curseborn campaign from various staff members. A mention of the Badana Group Save Against Fear convention, which is happening soon in, is it York, Pennsylvania? Whatever PA is, I think it's Pennsylvania. I'm not in America. I'm not American, you can probably tell. Also, if you do a late pledge for the Branch Riders crowdfunding campaign, you'll be entered into a raffle for a custom book-themed dice tower. Important note, if you are thinking of ordering a print-on-demand book from DriveThruRPG as a Christmas present, this is the last week that they can guarantee delivery by Christmas. But this is also the Teach Your Kids to Game Week sale on DriveThruRPG and DriveThruCards. The next Kickstarter starting next week, either on the 12th or the 14th, will be Exalted Alchemicals. That's a fat splat, I believe is the term. A supplement for Exalted 3rd edition. The media section is just full of Curseborn content, as you could expect. The schedule for the channel, all these times are in Eastern. 9 AM this show, today obviously. Tuesday 8 PM Scion God, the Beginner's Guide with Awkward GM. Wednesday 6 AM, Curseborn In Between Places. Friday noon, They Came From the Cyclops' Cave, Warriors of Legend. Saturday 2 PM, Meet Your Makers with Phil Keeling. This week's interview is with Danielle, again, Lawson. I'm not entirely sure on the pronunciation. Sunday 5 PM, Trinity Continuum Aeon Asia. And Monday 9 PM, Scion The Tower. As I mentioned, there's also a whole bunch of Curseborn content linked in the media section. On sale this week, the Sidereal's Fat Splat for Exalted 3rd Edition. If you want, it will be available print on demand and PDF on Drive-Thru-RPG specifically. With particular regards to this show and its purported purpose and reason for being, its raison d'être if you prefer, the Trinity Continuum Community Content Guide is still in layout, but that will slowly make its way through the process. If you have enjoyed the content but missed any of it, if you are a Twitch subscriber, congratulations, you can go straight to the videos tab of the channel once the stream has ended and watch it again, or catch it from the beginning. There was some rough stuff at the beginning as I had to check on some post. I thought I heard a knock on the door for post, but there wasn't any. And there was some audio issues that I had to fix on the fly. But it is what it is. If you are not a Twitch subscriber, you will have to wait a week to watch it on Twitch. Alternatively, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account to get a Prime Gaming account, which gives you 1 free subscription a month. That subscription gives you all of the same benefits of a normal subscription, a normal Tier 1 subscription, and it gives Onyx Path the benefits of a normal Tier 1 subscription as well. More or less. If you do not wish to do that, and don't want to watch it in a week's time on Twitch, I feel you. I'm not a fan of the Twitch video player myself. Also, you can't just leave a video halfway through and come back and resume watching if you turn everything off. If you swing by youtube.com/@ComradeBubbles and give the subscribe button a swift click, you should theoretically get a notification if you leave them turned on when this video goes live on my YouTube channel. That will be in about a week's time. I'll try to upload this as soon as I can and set it to a scheduled release so that it is definitely online on Tuesday, but I may forget. I have been known to do such things before. If you are interested about where you can find me elsewhere on the internet, my link tree is there. YouTube, you can simply see it on screen. I do stream on Twitch as Comrade Bubbles. I do mostly video game content, but I'm always happy to talk about role-playing games. Here is where ordinarily I would say I'll be over there in about half an hour's time, but I will not be. I'm heading out into the city to do a spot of shopping and then to go on a date with my fiancée. So I do not have the time to stream today, regrettably. I'm also on Blue Sky. It's comradebubbles.bsky.social, I believe. But the link for that is in the Linktree page. Particular thing I'd love to shout out right now while I have the time for once, and the platform, obviously. I do also, I am the chairperson for the UK Kingdom for UK Tabletop Industry Network. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a network for industry professionals here in the UK. We do have a stall at Dragon Meet. I don't have a stand for the stand information to hand, but we will have a stand there where we'll be selling products from our community members who cannot make it to Dragon Meet. Dragon Meet is the largest specifically TTRPG convention in the UK. UKG obviously does board games and stuff as well, but I believe Dragon Meet is supposed to be exclusively, well, not exclusively, but mostly around RPGs. I could be wrong about that. And that's on the 30th of November, between 10 and 6 for the trading, but between 9 and, I want to say, 11 p.m. for just gaming. So if you do get a chance, please do go to Dragon Meet and go to the UK tin stand. It'll be on the map, presumably. Buy some stuff, support the network. Most of the money goes back to the creators who exhibit through us. I think that's it. I should theoretically be back in 2 weeks' time, where I will set the goal of finish the first scene, but we'll take it from there. I may even have an idea about what I want to write about and talk about, and see if I want to touch on any additional topics beyond just here is a scene. That's why I'm talking about it. So that should be the 19th of November. Keep an eye out on Onyx Path's social media feeds for more information on that. And stick around for the post roll to see if, for any, if you've forgotten what's coming up on the channel. But until next time, please do stay safe, please do stay healthy, please do stay wholesome. Much love to you all. Goodbye.